Mr. and Mrs. Miggins come to Penguin Tax Planning for advice. Mr. Miggins has £200,000 in various pension funds, and Mr. and Mrs. Miggins have two children, Johnny and Sarah. On Mr. Miggins' death, his pension fund is going to pay 100% of the value of those funds to Mrs. Miggins. Mr. Miggins is worried about what will happen to his pension fund if Mrs. Miggins should remarry after he goes and meets young Jose. If Mr. Miggins died yesterday, as things stand, the pension company would pay £200,000 directly to Mrs. Miggins. If Mrs. Miggins does remarry and dies before Jose, potentially the money could go to Jose's family and not their children, Johnny and Sarah. Another potential problem is that if Mr. and Mrs. Miggins already have an estate worth £700,000, Mrs. Miggins now has an additional £200,000. If Mrs. Miggins dies 6 months later, 40% or £80,000 could be liable in inheritance tax from Mr. Miggins' pension fund. The solution is for Mr. Miggins to set up a pension trust. If Mrs. Miggins remarries, divorces or dies before her new husband, the trust ring fences the £200,000 and the money does not pass to her new husband. Mrs. Miggins can still be a beneficiary of this trust, but she will not physically be left the £200,000. Mr. Miggins can control what happens with the trust, and if Mr. Miggins wants Mrs. Miggins to have the money to do with as she pleases, the only real change is the money will be arranged as a loan. If Mrs. Miggins were to pass away 6 months later, the £200,000 does not stay in her estate, but comes back to the trust, saving £80,000 in tax. The other advantage, after both Mr. and Mrs. Miggins have deceased, the money can be loaned to the children, and in the event of something going wrong in their children's lives, such as separation, divorce or bankruptcy, the £200,000 will not be part of any settlement.